All right, today's going to be less theory. It's just a bit of revision on the order of operations, and then I'm just going to do some examples so you get a vibe of it. Okay, so let's go through again. BODMAS or BIDMAS that you may have learnt. B stands for? Brackets. Very good. So we got brackets. Then order, which is also known as the indices for those who learn BIDMAS, or you can think of it as powers. So it's one of the two, indices or powers. What does D stand for? Division, very good. We got division. Then we have M. Multiplication. Addition, very good. Subtraction, very good. So you got addition, subtraction. Now, one of the things that I find students tend to mix up is that it doesn't mean division comes before multiplication. They're actually the same ranking. So draw a bracket underneath it to remind yourselves that this is number 1 for brackets, indices is number 2, and division multiplication is number 3. They're together. Same thing with addition and subtraction. Addition doesn't come before subtraction. They're both the same ranking. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so if you have division and multiplication in the same line, you always work from left to right. Left to right. Left to right if you're in the same ranking. Okay, so just write it left to right so that you remember, because that's the common mistake I find students do. They will then pick and choose division or multiplication because they're stronger in one or the other, and then they screw up the order. So the order is always left to right, and that's how your calculators work as well. And they go through brackets, powers, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction, left to right. Okay? So that's the only theory part. Now it's just the applying part. So this is really fluency based. All of the exercise 1H is fluency. So here we go. Let's have a look. Let's look at the first example here. We've got 4 times, and then brackets, 2 minus 6. So what comes first in this case here? Can I please have James?
The brackets, so 2 minus 6.
Good. So the brackets comes first. And 2 minus 6, this is exercise 1E. So it's adding, subtracting negative numbers. What is that, Harrison? 2 minus 6 is? Negative 4. Very good. Again, if you are having troubles with working through the numbers, use a number line if you need to, which is why I put the number line there for you to see. So use a number line. But 2 minus 6, in the brackets, you focus on that first. I'm going to highlight it. Focus on the brackets, 2 minus 6, which is negative 4. Then you remove the brackets, because you've already worked out what's inside the brackets. Then you put back what is still in that line. I still have a 4, and I still have the time symbol. See how I'm working vertically, and I'm keeping the same lines. If you want to do your working out, 2 minus 6, do it on the side. If you weren't sure what 2 minus 6 is, write it on the side. Okay, but down here, that's the entry. So I want to see that entry. So 4 stays there, time stays there. The only thing I've worked out was the brackets first. Next one. Now that the brackets are gone, what's next? Times multiplication. So I have no division, I have no orders of operation, and that negative sign is not a minus sign. That's a negative, right? Minus is an operation, negative is the direction. So here I'm actually doing 4 times negative 4. And we did 1G yesterday. 4 times negative 4 is, not yesterday, it was the day before that. Less before that. 4 times negative 4, what is that? Yes, Harrison again? Negative 16. For those who've forgotten how to do this, first number is positive, second number is negative, and when the signs are different, it's a bad thing. So hence, minus. If the signs are the same, then it's positive. Okay, so in this case, we know the answer is going to be a negative, and 4 times 4, which is 16, so it's negative 16. Okay, so this is the fluency skill. I did try to explain in my previous lesson on why or what this actually means. If you didn't get it, learn it through this way. This is the fluency component. Yeah? All right, let's try the next one. B. We've got negative 6. I know that looks like a minus 6 there, but it's negative 6 minus 2 times brackets negative 3. Now again, what comes first? Lennox. Brackets. So then you focus on the brackets first. So what's inside the brackets? We have what, Fraser? Negative 3. That's all we got. So this one, you actually can calculate 2 minus 6. This one, there's nothing to calculate. So the answer for the first line is it's -3 and remove the brackets. Because you're just looking at the brackets, what are you going to do? There's nothing to do there, so it's -3. And then you rewrite the line again. So you got -6 minus 2 times -3, but I've removed the brackets because I looked at the brackets and I said, well, what did we do? We didn't need to do anything. There we go. So I removed it. Now the next step, after brackets, I look for powers or division or multiplication, then addition, subtraction. So what's next? Can I please have Tejas? Good. So remember, this means subtract. Okay, that means minusing, not a negative, but it can be seen as a negative. That's where some students get confused. I would tell students to do this. Do exactly what Tejas just did. You've got 2. 2 times -3. Okay, so 2 times -3, but you're not wrong if you had taken -2 times -3. What you've done there is you've made an assumption that it's plus -2 times -3. That's what you're doing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong. The answer doesn't change because plussing a debt is the same thing as subtracting. That's why it doesn't change. But I don't want to confuse you. That's why I would say keep it as 2 times -3. Don't make it -2 times -3. Unless you're strong. Unless you're strong in your mathematics and you don't make mistakes, it's okay to do that. Okay? So from here, let's calculate that. Ignoring the minus sign, 2 times -3 gives you what? Can I please have, let's go with Ava. Just 2 times -3. -6, very good. So we now say this is now -6. I still have the -6 over here, and I still have the subtracting sign. See what I'm doing there? So this is still a subtraction sign. This is a -6. Very different signs. This is saying you're subtracting or removing, or you're losing debt. If you're losing debt, are you gaining or losing? Gaining, because I'm removing your debt. This is what it means. It says, remove your debt. And if I remove my debt, I've now gained 6. Right? So that's why you can write the next line. This is the same thing as saying -6 plus 6. Because this means remove or losing, and this means debt. Okay, so if you remove debt, well then you've gained. You've gained money. I've removed the money that you owe me. Okay, boys, just on where Rory's sitting, this is the notes for today. So just grab one each. Okay, so we now know it's actually -6. Instead of losing your debt, it's actually the same thing as gaining 6. So -6 plus 6 is the last bit you got to work out. And -6 plus 6 equals what? Can I please have, let's go with Quinn. 0, very good. Okay, now just in contrast for those who wouldn't have done it this way, I'm just going to show you, don't have to copy this one down, I'm just showing you the answer will be the same. Had you decided to do -2 times -3, double negative is positive, and you would have had +6, and you would have ended up the same answer. -6 plus 6 gives you 0. So both of them are still the same. I just find that students can get confused between a negative and a minus. That's why I'm saying keep that as a minus, and that's your negative. But you can technically say negative and negative becomes positive. 2 times 3 is 6. Now you have -6 plus 6, 0. That's only if you're feeling pretty confident with the numbers. Okay, if you're confident with adding, subtracting, that's okay. This is the proper way. Okay? But it just means there's more working out. Okay, so more calculations. All right, here we go. Let's go with the third option now. Third option. We now have 4 take away 2 cubed divided by, in brackets, -4. So again, BODMAS, which one comes first? Can I please have Rory? Which one comes first? According to BODMAS, what's the first one? Brackets. So we do have brackets? Yes, we do. So inside the brackets, what do we have? Let's go with Lewis. What's inside the brackets? -4. So inside the brackets, we've got -4, and -4, that's all we got. There's nothing else you can do. So your first line is you say -4, remove the brackets, and rewrite what you have. So you've got a 4, subtract 2 cubed, and you got a divide. So what did I really do? All I did was I just worked out what's inside the brackets. That's what's inside the brackets. That's fine. Nothing wrong. That's your first step. Now brackets are removed. The next step is check for powers before division, multiplication, or addition, subtraction. Do I have any powers? Let's go with Sam. Here I do. I have a 2. Good. And what does 2 to the power 3 mean? Can I please have Jay? Like, what does it mean? Very good. So a lot of students get confused and they write 2 times 3 and they say it's 6. It's not that. 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. Not 2 plus 2 plus 2. Because 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. That's correct. But this is 2 times 2 times 2. And if you work it out, 2 times 2 is 4. And then 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 cubed, or 2 to the power 3, is actually 8, not 6. Common mistake. Okay, and it shows that they haven't truly understood what powers mean. So if you're one of those students, make sure to write a note for yourself so that you remember that 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? All right, so what's the next step? We say do orders or powers first. So again, we just worked out that is 8. Great. I still have a 4. I still have a subtraction sign. I still have a division sign, so I fill it in. And I still have the -4 from the brackets. Now I've removed the brackets. I've removed the powers. What's the next thing in the operation, Lennox? Division. So here, again, you've got a choice. You can take -8 divided by -4, or the way I'm sort of telling you to do is 8 divided by -4. Okay, because I think that's the proper way of understanding the mathematics. So here we're doing a division. That's subtraction, so 4 take away, and I'm doing a division. 8 divided by -4. What does 8 divided by -4 equal to? Let's go, Piera. -2, beautiful. So again, 8 is a positive number. This is a negative number. So positive, negative, they're different signs. So hence, the overall answer is going to be a minus or negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So you fill in 2. And now let's fill in what we still have. We still have a 4. And we still have that subtraction sign. Okay, and notice the language when I speak to you. I move between subtraction, minus, versus negative. Yeah, so this is -2. This is minus. That's the operation. So that's why I'm trying to teach you to know the difference between the two. Yeah. So here I'm doing 4 subtract -2. But remember what this means is you're removing debt. But if you're removing debt, are you gaining or losing? Gaining. So since you're gaining, it's the same thing as saying 4 gain 2 because you're removing your debt. You no longer owe $2. I removed your debt. I said, forget about it. So, of course, you gained the extra 2. So now 4 plus 2 gives me an answer of 6. So far, so good? Okay? Okay. Here we go. Last example, and then I'm going to give you about 15, 20 minutes to practice these questions. Or you can work on the previous exercise. And then we'll come back again, and then we'll do the page on the back. Okay? So, let's do the last example. So, here we go. Same thing again, BODMAS. What comes first? Can I please have, let's go with Steph. Brackets. So inside the brackets, I've got brackets and brackets too. So let's work this one out. So I've got a brackets here, but inside these brackets, I've got another bracket. So I'm going to focus on the innermost bracket. There we go. So inside this bracket, what do I have? -5, very good. So if I rewrite it, this is the same thing as saying bracket -7, and I've got -7 minus a -5. And then on this side, I still have the root 16, I still have a divide 8, and I still have a times. See, I'm writing all the lines again, but what I've done is I've removed the first bracket. But I still have a bracket. Here's the yellow bracket I colored. This is the bracket I'm working with, so I've got to work with this one first. Inside this bracket, I've got -7, subtract, and -5. And remember, you're subtracting, so you're removing debt. But if you're removing debt, you are gaining. So you're adding. So here, this is the same thing as saying, I want you to work out what -7 plus 5 is. And what is -7 plus 5? Can I please have Shakira? What's -7 plus 5? Take your time. So you owe $7 and you just worked and you gained $5. -2 because you still owe $2. If you owed me 7 and you paid me back 5, right? You gave me 5. You earned $5 and you paid it back to me. you still owe $2. So that means this entire bracket, when you calculate it, it should be -2. What's still left over? You still have a root 16, you still have a divide 8, and you still have the times symbol. Brackets are gone now. I've done all the brackets. So I did the first bracket, the second bracket, all brackets are gone. What's the next step? Any powers do you see? No, but there actually is. Now, this is a bit of a higher level thinking. At the year 9 level, which you guys aren't at yet, square root of 16 is actually an order. In year 9, which you'll learn, is actually 16 to the power of half. So if you've got a calculator, you can actually try typing it. If you have a calculator that doesn't have like a square root symbol, for example, you can actually type 16 to the power of, and you do 1 divided by 2. That will give you 4. It'll be the same thing as writing square root, but that's a year 9 thing, okay? So technically, mathematically, there is that one that you have to work out first, okay? So square roots is considered an order or indices or powers, in case you didn't know, okay? So we've got to work out this one first. What's root of 16? Quinn? 4, very good. So we got 4 divided by 8 times -2. Ooh, now this is getting tricky. Now, I'll tell you what most students would do at this step. Most students, once they get to this step, so they get root of 16 is 4, they're like, great. Then they look at this. Remember, division times, they're the same ranking. You're meant to go from left to right. So technically, you're meant to do this. You're meant to do 4 divided by 8. Most students don't like that because 4 is smaller than 8. So what they do instead is they go, oh, I'll do this. And it doesn't feel wrong, but it is wrong. You can't just jump the order. We always work from left to right. And they would do 8 times -2, and they feel more confident to write -16, and you do 4 divided by -16. Right? Still, they're in the same problem, and then they write 16 divided by -4, and they say it's -8. Okay? Not right. Oh, sorry, not -8, -4, which is incorrect. How you should do it, and I know it's not ideal, this is now for students who are stronger with their fractions and so. 4 divided by 8. For those who don't know, write these notes in. 4 divided by 8 is actually the same thing as you writing 4 over 8. That actually means 4 divided 8. So the fractions, if you never notice a fraction, that divide symbol, that's actually a fraction symbol. So that's your numerator, denominator. That's what that represents. So when you write 4 over 8, that's what it's actually saying. 4 divide 8, or 4 divide 8, that's what you're doing. That's numerator, denominator. Okay? So 4 divide 8, and then we're now timesing by -2. Now, I know not all of us are strong with fractions at this point. You could have changed this into a decimal if it helps you. 4 over 8, what is that the same as? A half. Very good. Because it's a half, what is that as a decimal? Very good, 0.5. So you can think of it as 0.5 times -2, or you can think of it as half times -2. I normally just work in fractions, so I stick with fractions and do the mathematics to it. But since some of you may still struggle with this, at this point, if you struggle with this, use a calculator. You get used to just going through the operation. I'm not testing your fractions yet. That's not until next term. Okay? So, what's half of -2? -1. And I know some of us might be like, well, how did you know? Think about it. If you owe $2, okay, and then I said, I'm going to half what you owe me. Then you obviously half the 2. So you half the 2, you get 1. You still owe me, so negative, owe, you still owe me $1. Okay, that's what this means. Half of what you owe me. Okay, so half, this is now half of what you owe me is -1. Okay, if you want to do it the proper way, this is the proper mathematics to it. 4 over 8 times -2. How do you write 2 as a fraction again? Anyone remember? Yes, Pierre? Yes, because 2 is a whole number, and we know that there is 2 ones that fit into 2. So if you want to write anything as a fraction, or a whole number as a fraction, it's divided by 1. Now, when you're multiplying fractions, it's top with top, bottom with bottom. So here we go, top with top, bottom with bottom. And you can see 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then 8 times 1 is positive 8. And you can see negative 8 divided by 8 is negative 1. That's the proper way of doing it. Obviously, there's ways that you could have simplified as well and made your life a bit easier. Don't need to do this. I'm okay with you using the calculator from here. Okay, I just needed to see that you got the order correct. Okay, otherwise, if you did it the other way, if you did 8 times negative 2, the answer would have been wrong. It would have been 4 divided by negative 16, which is totally wrong. Yeah? The reason why is because you're not going left to right. So what's the takeaway for this example? Left to right is the way to do it. Okay, don't go through your instincts of feeling 8 times negative 2 is easy. Yeah? All right, team, that's it for now. I'm going to give you about 15, let's give you 15 minutes to have a go at this exercise 1H. But if you're not strong with these yet and you haven't done 1E, 1F, 1G, then I'd say do those first. Because you need to be good with those to look at 1H. And then we'll come back to that one. All right, I'm going to pause the video.